Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Edge of Liberty on the SHR Media Network. I'm your host, Sean. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Joining me, us if you're in the chat. How do you get in the chat? Go to SHR Media on YouTube. The live chat's right there. You click on that and it comes right through here. Same for Facebook and Twitch. However, if you're watching or listening on X or Rumble, I can't see your chat. So if you want to chat, SHR Media YouTube, jump in the live chat. But while you're there, please like, subscribe, do everything that you need to do. And by the way, you may not have seen it, but I was literally just attacked by a monstrous animal that is sitting off to my left. That's what I do for you folks. That's what I endure to bring you the stories that need to be brought right here on the Edge of Liberty. Chat room starting to warm up. Mission Ready Men. BZ Biff himself is in there talking about how I like to boot people. Mission Ready Men Big E, who will be on the air tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast, right here on SHR Media. There's a lot to talk about. I do want to talk about USAID, but first, hey, Cheetah's here. Welcome, Cheetah. But first, I want to talk about this because this sums up so much over the last couple of years. This brings to light what everybody's been saying. And once again, we were all tinfoil hat wearing lunatics, that there is a different level of justice depending on which side of the aisle you are on. And here is another example right here. This is from Fox News. That's funny. Normally, that works when I click it. Give me a second. I'm working on it. I'm working through it. There we go.
During closed-door testimony last summer, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page said the Obama administration's Justice Department advised the FBI not to pursue the gross negligence statute for Hillary Clinton in the mishandling of classified information. Former U.S. Attorney and House Republican John Ratcliffe led the line of questioning about the statute, known as 18 U.S.C. 793. Ratcliffe, you're making it sound like it was the department that told you you're not going to charge gross negligence because we're the prosecutors. Page interrupted. That is correct. Page's testimony appears to conflict with then FBI Director James Comey's recommendation in July 2016 against criminal charges for Clinton.
What I can assure the American people is that this investigation was done honestly, competently, and independently no outside influence of any kind was brought to bear.
The Republican-led House Oversight and Judiciary Committee investigation ended in January. With Democrats now in control, the committee's new ranking Republican made the page transcript public.
The transcript releases show an inherent two-tier system, one in which Hillary Clinton gets the treatment that she got, where there was actually at first concern that they were going to charge her, and then with Loretta Lynch in charge, before she recused herself, made it very clear that that was not going to happen.
Do you remember the famous jet meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch? I remember. Everybody else should remember, because once again, it is proven factual that there was a two-tier system of justice. Look, what Hillary Clinton did, Hillary Clinton is not a good person. Uranium One, Libya, we all know of all the people who have suspiciously perished just for being friends with the Clintons in very odd ways, or acquaintances, or a Starbucks employee. And then when she should have been prosecuted, which we all said back in the day she should have been prosecuted, she got a free pass. And it angered us, but it didn't blow our minds. And there's a difference. We were angry, but we were not shocked and dismayed. We were angry because we knew there was a tier system of justice. We saw it play out in front of us. But we definitely were not shocked by it. Not shocked whatsoever. Now it's coming to light. And speaking of the Hildoggen clan, I do want to talk more about USAID this evening, because I think USAID is going to be the linchpin to the undoing of so many Democrats. But let's start with Hillary's spawn, Chelsea. And this is a flow chart, if you will, of money that was funded through the Tides Foundation to the Clintons, Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea. Grants given, $1.5 million, and part of that was taxpayer-funded money. Did the Clintons need to be getting any more money from taxpayers? The answer, of course, is no. But that's small potatoes. It really is. That's not, I wish I could say that this was like the biggest upset of the day, but it is not. And by upset, I don't know if upset's really the word. But to me, years ago, when we first started this little network, one of the biggest things we talked about, one of the biggest things we lamented on for hours, was the fact that certain media organizations in this country were state media. Once again, we were told, take off the tinfoil hat, take off your crazy hat, take your medicine, you don't know any better. I'm going to get to the sex toys in a second, because that one's just funny to me. But Politico. You know Politico. Politico's that super leftist rag who I've actually I was blocked from for a while. I got unblocked, but I was blocked from for a while. And not because I was being rude. I just spent a lot of time pulling apart their stories. Politico received $8.1 million in government benefits via USAID. I will say that again. Politico, $8.1 million in USAID. Funny little footnote to that story. When Trump seized or freezed all the USAID money and said, hey, we're not spending another dollar until we know where all this is going, Politico couldn't pay its payroll this week. True story. Somebody leaked a letter that said, hey, there was a banking issue. We're working with our banks and our vendors to get your paychecks to you. This leaked letter to the employees. Yada, yada, yada. But isn't it ironic and perhaps glorious that the $8.1 million recipient of government money that has been nothing but state media for the left, amongst others, the money gets cut off and they can't pay the bills. They can't keep the lights on. They can't pay their employees. You and I were funding Politico. You and I. There's a great thread running around right now. I know some of the KLRN folks took part of it. It says, I was fired from Politico and this was my job. And then people are putting all sorts of funny stuff out. So if you have a chance, check that out. But that's state media. That's government run media. This is actually, we all knew PBS and C-SPAN got money. It's public broadcasting. We knew that. This was intentionally hidden. Why? Because they want to give the guys that Politico is an independent media outlet, a news source, if you will. And now we know it wasn't. It wasn't news. It was a cheerleading operation for Democrats, paid for by you and I. And this is the thing that is driving the left crazy. Look, publicly, they're attacking the process. They don't like the fact that Elon Musk and a few nerds are in there ripping it apart. They don't like it because the outcome is going to be the American people will never trust Democrats again. It's already started. I have a video. But they're attacking the process because they can't attack where the money's going because they're involved. Their grubby little hands are all over the dollars. They know. Why do you think they're right now filibustering the thing they wanted to get rid of all night to block a Trump appointee or nominee? I'll tell you why. Because they're trying to change the narrative from what is being found to the process and any other friggin' thing that they can talk about right now other than where our tax dollars were spent. I never do two shows on the same topic. It's not my thing. Normally, I try to hit topics and move on. But this is so enormous. This is such a betrayal of trust with the American people. It is such a use of government tax dollars for personal gain by the left. It's borderline treasonous, in my humble opinion. Look, USAID was started by JFK to combat the growth of communism. It was for economic growth in other countries, but that's what it was. It was to bring economic growth to these countries that we didn't want the Soviet Union to set up shop in and start working with them. That's what USAID was for. That was the entire purpose of it. And what happened? The communists in this country hijacked it. It was meant to stop the spread of communism, and the communists in this country hijacked it. And it went on for years and years. Do you know how many people I know that are shocked that USAID is a government entity? Why? Because they didn't answer to any government. They just took our money and did their own thing, carte blanche. Their own thing included destabilizing nations, regime change. Yeah, all the DEI stuff that we talked about, which is just a horrible waste of money. But here's what they're doing. They're hiding behind the one or two good projects, good, however you want to look at that, where they promote clean water or food or what have you. And they're wrapping themselves in that. They're using the child as the hostage. Ignore all that other stuff. Look at what we can't do now. We can't bring water to little Jimmy who's, lives in a cave in the Ukraine or whatever. But they're not talking about all the other money, the money that went to the Wuhan lab. They're not talking about any of that because they don't want you to talk about that. This is what the left does. This is what the left has done. They will turn around and try to win on the emotional argument because facts and logic always pile up against them. I didn't vote for Elon Musk. Look, I didn't vote for the FBI, ATF, CIA, and a whole bunch of other shit. I didn't vote for Eric Holder years ago. I could go on and on for people I didn't vote for. He was appointed by the president for this same reason, to do this. And guess what? We voted for that president to do this. This is what we wanted. This is what the nation wanted. And now we're getting it. And I will tell you, invest in adult diapers because the amount of pant pissing the left is doing now and will continue to do, they're going to get all tuckered out, have full diapers, and probably need, honestly, they're probably going to need an IV because they're going to be so dehydrated between the pissing and the crying. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. USAID is just the beginning. It's not like we're 4 months into this and we're on organization B or C or D or E or F. No. USAID is just the tip of the iceberg. Wait till they get into Social Security and how much money was funneled out of the Social Security, your Social Security, my Social Security, into other places. Just wait. It's coming. The NOAA. Look, all of these seemingly, let me start here. We know the CIA uses dark money to do CIA stuff. We know the military uses dark money in order to get experimental equipment off the ground and funded. That doesn't shock anybody when we talk about it. It's not shocked where it's found. But where that money is coming from and the agencies and organizations that money is funneled from after it's given to it by Congress, I think is going to blow everybody's mind. Yeah, of course Musk isn't doing this on his own. He was asked to do it. He was instructed to do it. And I'm going to tell you, we're not even close to being done yet. And that's a good thing. I said Tuesday or Monday night, I said, look, we are the nation that is trillions in debt, constantly borrowing money and raising a debt ceiling, and we're handing out billions of dollars to other countries when we still have people in this country that need help. Right? They try to win the emotional argument. That's my emotional argument. There are people in the streets here that needs help. There are kids that don't have clean access to food and water or good schools. Look at Flint, Michigan. What's going on in Flint? Anyone talk about that lately? Look at North Carolina. Yeah, they're getting relief now that Trump's in office. You look at Florida, the parts that are affected by hurricanes, and the list goes on. And they say we don't have money for that. But they have money to just hand out to their pet projects all over the country. Destabilize this country, destabilize that country. Bring, whatever. Educate transgender toads in Antarctica, whatever. But we're just spending money on it like it's nothing. We can't pass appropriations bills. Everything's run on omnibus. And this is why. This is why. This is one of the reasons. And it's absolutely mind-blowing. I'm waiting. I am waiting for Social Security. I am waiting for Medicare just to see how bad It is. I don't think we're prepared as a nation for this conversation. I really don't. I think there are some of us who are. Like I said, I am not going to be shocked at all by how much is found. But there are going to be people there who this is going to fundamentally change their view of what government is and what government should be, and I am happy for it. You have to understand, we live in a generation where kids are raised not to question government. Big government's awesome. Government has the right to impede on your life whenever it wants. We live in a democracy. All of these things that they have been slowly brainwashed into believing. And all of that is going to be rattled. Look, a lot of it was rattled this last election. Going to this last election, the amount of youth that voted for Trump was really high. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's a lot higher than it has been. A lot of people of color voted for Trump that had in a long time. So the trend was already leaning that way. I think when the average working class American human being sees the amount of money that was stolen from them, when we're being told Social Security may not be there in 20 years, and how much money we're just giving away to other countries. And I think it's going to rock this nation. We've seen the full depth of it yet. I'm up against a break. We come back. Pam Bondi was confirmed, and I want to talk about one of her first actions as Attorney General right here on the SHR Media Network. Please like and subscribe wherever you watch.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's outrageous that this committee will not even entertain a motion.
No, you state your,
Chairman, that's not a point of order.
Somebody
You know,
who's breaking the law
agree.
and
Point
of
order.
dismantling our federal
There's
agencies.
demagoguery. You're
and
demagoguery.
hiring federal employees
No, we
and
don't listen to
hacking
demagogues.
data.
Out of
And
order.
you will not
Out of order.
even
Out of
entertain
order.
a motion
The
to
motion
bring
is
this
order.
in
This is
front of the
demagoguery. This is
As
oversight
out of
many
order.
committee.
as are in favor of tabling.
Yes,
signify.
let's have order in this country.
Statesbury, you're out of order. You know you're out of order. You know the rules of this committee. There's been a motion.
Mr.
and a
Elon
second
Musk
to
is
table.
out of
Now,
order and just being
He's out of
held.
order.
God.
I call the question.
Mr.
There's
Elon.
been a
They can't help themselves. That's my favorite part. Look, I'm really disgusted with what's being found all over the place. But the fact that they're losing their ever-loving minds right in front of the American people is my favorite. So I talked about the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who was sworn in. Pam Bondi was the Florida Attorney General. And I said when her name was floated for AG, I do have my issues with her because of her support for red flag laws. But we're here now. One of her first actions is she directed the Department of Justice to pause all funding to sanctuary cities. Bondi is also directing the DOJ. Click on the right one, Sean. There we go. Bondi has also directed the DOJ to identify all funding agreements with non-governmental organizations that support illegal immigrants. Quote, on her first day leading the Justice Department, including orders to combat the weaponization of the legal system, make prosecutors seek the death penalty when appropriate, and work with DHS to completely eliminate cartels and transnational organizations. I'm here for it. We're off to a good start. Look, you had the Massachusetts federal attorney, federal prosecutor, sorry, for Massachusetts, who states that she's going to go after politicians who block ICE and interfere with deportations criminally in Massachusetts. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if you've ever wanted to run for office, Massachusetts in a few weeks is going to be the place to go. Without a doubt, because from what I know of Massachusetts and from what I've read lately, they're all going to end up being federally prosecuted, which is wonderful news. I said it before and I said it again, obstruction of federal investigations, obstruction of federal investigation. I don't care who you are. I don't care what politician you are. Look, just like a certain former New Jersey senator found out, even politicians are subject to the law. I'm reading chat. I may need to go see a new. Yeah, it's been what since January 20th, Rick? I think we all should go. And it's these so-called sanctuary cities are going to have their funding froze. All federal funding is going to be froze. Do you understand how huge that is? And look, I am not a big government person at all. So freezing federal funds to sanctuary cities and saving the taxpayer money, that's great. Because as much as I'm not a big federal government guy or a big government guy in general, one of the things that I do think is that we have laws that need to be followed. Our immigration laws are pretty high at the top of the list because if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And we didn't have a border for the last 4 years. And our country was on the precipice of falling apart. Look, how many of our Democratic politicians are world government people, no border people, throwing money at WEF, throwing money at all these organizations that erode the sovereignty of nations all over the world. You know who they are? You know what they are? By the way, I'm looking for the graphic because I did have it here. We threw a shite load of money at WEF too, the World Economic Forum. A ton of money at the World Economic Forum. And I do have that. I'm going to look for it. But you have to ask yourself why. Because they honestly believe, because we have the most money, that if you go to a world government, guess who's going to be in charge? They, meaning Democrats, think that we, meaning America, will be running it, and they, meaning Democrats, will be in charge of us being America. That's it, plain and simple. It's all about power and control. Look, do I have my issues with other nations? Yes. I think the UK is a shit show right now, and I feel bad for anyone that lives there that's an actual freedom-loving human being. Do I think that they should somehow have their borders eroded? No, I was against the EU being formed as a whole. I think when you have organizations like that who are unelected bureaucrats running it that are allowed to decide what happens in all of these individual countries, it is a disgusting move towards globalism, a frightening move towards globalism. And it's something that we absolutely cannot allow to happen. But that's what they want to happen. That's what the left has wanted to happen for years. I digress. I have to move on because there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. A lot of it's going to be back to USAID. We talked about Bill Clinton last night, but there's a couple of websites now who've done a really good job of getting into all this information that's released and made it searchable so you can point A to B. If you have a chance, I know I retweeted one of the websites and it works. I was on it earlier today. It's pretty gross. But one of the other things that was released was the Kamala 60-minute unedited CBS tape. And I'm not going to go through it on this show. That might be a special at some point. It was bad. Holy cow, was it bad. I mean, oof. Look, little inside baseball. When I come and do the show, and even though it may not always appear so, I prepare for it. I read about what I'm going to talk about. I try to get my notes in order. I try to get my clips in order, yada, yada. I prepare for it. Why? Because as much as sometimes I just like to come up here and just like tell dumbass jokes and blah, 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 I do want to make a quality product. I am not running for president of the United States of America. I am currently president of the Edge of Liberty show. I'm happy here. But you prepare for the job in front of you. Kamala Harris did not prepare at all for the job that was in front of her. Or if she did, it showed you how grossly underprepared she was. That interview, front and back, was, for lack of a better term, a shit show. The edits that we saw that still wasn't great even after the fact. It was not a good interview even with the edits. And that's what caused everyone to say, wait a minute, what's the rest of this look like? Because this is bad. Look, Biden had an excuse, senility. When he's out there talking about, I don't think of myself as old enough to fly, right? He's 148 years old. Minimally. He and BZ grew up in the same neighborhood, I think, together. But he has an excuse. We all knew and didn't want him there, but we knew what his excuse was. Kamala doesn't have an excuse. Yeah, there's some allegations as to why she may have some cognitive issues. But nothing's been confirmed. It's just alleged, and I'm not going to talk about that right now. However, in this interview, it's bad. This kind of dovetails into it a little bit. Michael Schellenberger, who everyone knows who Michael Schellenberger was in Jesse Waters. Watch this. When I say watch this, I mean watch this. Hey, there it is.
And the CIA helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, that House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019, many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department.
Does anyone remember of the private, quote unquote, organization that developed RoboCop? It was close to that acronym. I think it was OCP.
And then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back home. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate essentially for Trump's impeachment. So I think it's just one of many revelations that we'll see coming out in the next.
And the best part about it is, who was it? Somebody just brought articles of impeachment against Trump on the floor again. But this tells you, like, look, the CIA was involved with it, which is why when Trump says he wants to gut the CIA, this is why. This sums up the last term by Trump. He was under surveillance the minute he walked down the escalator, or rode down the escalator, if you want to get me on finite details, and all the way through. We had impeachment after impeachment, yada, yada, yada. And then we find out now that the CIA was involved in those impeachments. The CIA, first of all, they're not supposed to operate on American soil. That's one of their biggest rules. That's one of their biggest tenets. They are not supposed to operate on American soil. Oh, and the other thing they're not supposed to do, I don't know, be involved in the impeachment of the sitting president. Why? Because he didn't want them dicking around in other countries like they always do. The CIA was supposed to just protect the homeland, take out threats abroad, not regime changes, not picking kings, not picking presidents. What happened in Libya, none of that was supposed to be what the CIA was supposed to do. It's supposed to protect the homeland against foreign threats and be active overseas. That's its mission. That's its goal. It makes you wonder, when the JFK and RFK files get dropped, how much of the CIA was involved in that. And this is nothing that, look, I'm not tinfoil hatting this. I'm not the only person who thinks this. It's been said for years. And then you have to look at, I don't know, more recent assassination attempts. Is that crazy? Look, they were involved in his impeachment. Would it be shocking that he made an attempt on a presidential candidate in this country, the man who was president already, when we know they've done it in other countries? You just apply the tools that you use overseas at home. It's not like they don't have the ability to do so. You look at how many bad actors were once American CIA assets. And it starts to beg the question, what if? And again, people are going to be pissing their pants when those files are released. I said it before. With everything that's going on with Doge right now, tearing apart the government's finances, which needed to happen, if you drop the Epstein files and the JFK and RFK and MLK files, because I didn't forget about MLK, this country's going to lose their mind even more. The one thing that our government has done for years is convince the American people that we are absolutely wholesome, wonderful government who never does anything wrong. Look, Hillary Clinton not only slid on the server thing, she also slid on what happened with Uranium One in Benghazi. For those who don't remember, Uranium One is when Hillary Clinton sold a shitload of uranium in this country to Russia on the Uranium One deal. It was after the reset button. Remember the big that she did? Right? The Clinton Foundation made a shitload of money on the Uranium One deal. Nothing happened to her. Libya, like I said, whether you liked Gaddafi or not, was relatively stable prior. And we went in and played God. And it cost us 4 Americans, one of which was an ambassador, 2 were warriors and heroes, and another was an American veteran who was serving his country abroad. All because of things that the CIA and our government has done right in front of our faces, and people gave him a pass. People gave Hillary a pass on that. She was the architect for it, her and Obama. And then they lied to us. Remember? They lied to us on the 9/11 attack in Benghazi and said it was because of some video. There's a lot of bad people in our government. And I'll tell you right now, anyone who's protesting the amount of stuff that's being brought into the sunlight, which is the best disinfectant, you know which side of the aisle we're on. We're up against a break. Please like and subscribe wherever you're watching from. Join the chat room. We'll be right back.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Final 17 here on the SHR Media Network. Once again, thank you to our friends over at KLRN Radio for simulcasting and being wonderful folk. I want to talk a little bit about dirty democrating. It also is money related. Some of it will contain the USAID, but it's going to be what Biden and Blinken did and threw money at before they ran out the door. $1.5 billion in foreign aid. They shelled out. Look, we knew that. We saw how much money they were sending overseas with Ukraine and all the other stuff. And by the way, everyone in chat room, thank you so much for being awesome and chatting along with us. But I'm going to read through some of them. And this, I know money and finance and numbers doesn't always make for a wonderfully interesting show, right? I know, like, it's better to play clips of Democrats yelling and screaming or whatever and commenting. But in this country, with the economy the way it is, the amount of money that we're in debt for, just the amount of money that we spend like crazy. Like I said the other night, Zelensky claiming that $100 billion did not make it to Ukraine. This is our biggest problem in our nation right now. Nobody wants to admit it. Well, some of us do. But how we spend our money and the amount of money that we piss away in the electric winkle chamber, as BZ likes to say, is unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. So 1.5 billion, you ready? Here we go. 15.5 million for organizations like the International LGBT Trans IA Intersex Association for promoting radical social agenda in places like Zimbabwe, Lebanon, and El Salvador. 11.5 for gender programming through the State Department. Don't even know what gender programming is. I thought gender programming happened naturally in the womb between the sperm and the egg, but call me crazy. 300 million for environmental resilience in Guatemala. Don't know what environmental resilience is, but I would love to know how they spent 300 million. I'm telling you, man, I said it before. I think I said on BZ's show last night. I really wish I got into this little fraud wagon decades ago. I would have started the International Single Mothers on Stripper Pole Foundation, applied to USAID, and had them pay me in singles. I'd have been great. In my 20s, you kidding me? Yeah. I didn't care in my 20s. I'd have been doing the work of the people, just handing them out one at a time. So the list goes on. 15 millions. I know I brought up, what was it, 500,000 for condoms in Gaza? We're not done yet. We're still giving the Taliban money. 15 million for rubbers for the Taliban. I'm just, you know what? There's already been sheep jokes in the chat room, so I'm just going to leave that one alone. Let them do their thing. And those jokes were out before I even brought that up. 446,700 to promote the expansion of atheism in Nepal through the State Department. Why are we promoting any sort of religious or non-religious issues at this point? That's a personal thing, not a governmental thing. What happened to separation of church and state? You fucking morons. 1 million to boost French-speaking LGBTQ groups in West and Central Africa through the State Department. Okay. 14 million in cash vouchers for migrant at the southern border through the State Department. You know those people that we're trying to round up and get out of this country? Yeah, Biden threw 14 million at them before he walked out the door. I'm so glad that he went and got himself an agent for Hollywood. $20,600 for a drag show in Ecuador. Look, for $20,600, you give that to me, I'll do a drag show in my living room for you. $47,020 for a transgender opera. We talked about that. The comic book. $55,700 for climate change presentation. A single presentation warning about the impacts of climate change in Argentina, led by a female and LGBT journalist through the State Department, because you must have that when you're concerned about the environment. Guys, we really have to stop this climate change. Go get me a lesbian journalist. We'll fix it. What? No. It's just proof right there. That should be, I mean, look, if you have a scientist that wants to talk about it, okay, that's different. But man, when you have these stipulations, like it has to be an LGBT journalist and a female, it just shows you that it's just all virtue signal and BS. 3,315,000 for LGBTQ in the Caribbean through USAID. I don't even know what that means. They gave out $3.3 million for being gay in the Caribbean. I'll tell you right now, I get a bunch of gay and lesbian friends who are pissed they're not getting paid off right now because they're not Caribbean. They're just hardworking Americans. By the way, they're all conservatives. $7 billion for a BIPOC speaker series in Canada through the State Department, subsidizing Canada again. Ooh, the Canadians, the snow Mexicans are going to be so mad at me. 80,000 for LGBTQ. You see the trend for a center in Slovakia. Why are we paying for that? Why are we paying for that? 3.2 to help Tunisian migrants readjust to life in Tunisia after deportation through the State Department. We pay them after we send them home. Jeez. 3.2 because they get sent back to the country they came from. It's like a parting gift. What do we have for him, Johnny? We have a trip back to Tunisia and $3.2 million. Like Trump said, thank God we've never found life on another planet because the United States would have tried to have sent money to it. Oh, here's the one I was looking for earlier, folks, and I finally found it. $68 million we gave as a nation through USAID, your taxpayer, my taxpayer money, for the World Economic Forum. It's absolutely, I'm going to add it to the stream right now. I know it's hard to see. I apologize. $68 million. I'm 75% Slovakian and I oppose this. It is incredible. Oh, you picked up on my my little George accent. On that day, I was a marine biologist. So 68 million to WEF. WEF, the people that hate us, the people that hate you and me, they think that they want us to eat bugs. They want us to eat simulated meat. They don't want us to have any part of our life whatsoever to be an American life. No. They hate us. They hate our existence. They hate our nation. They hate our freedoms. They hate our rights. They hate everything about us. And we give $68 million to them. The World Economic Forum, in my opinion, is one of the largest terrorist organizations in the world. Hands down. Because of what they do to nations and how they control nations. By the way, moving on from that, the all-night filibuster. I was in the pool. The all-night filibuster is underway. When I said earlier that diapers need to be had, the Democrats will need them tonight. But I have to beg the question, and all of this that's going on, and all of the outrage from the left, when I don't know how to say this nicely, but we all know the focus been on Mitch McConnell falling all over the place the last few days. He fell down 2 flights of stairs again. He's old. Look, we want him gone. Conservatives want him gone. There's no doubt about it. Mitch McConnell's just taking up space for somebody that could potentially actually do something. But when you're trying to draw up a crowd, when you're trying to get people riled up, when you're trying to be a political leader and you're trying to be loud and boisterous, let me tell you something. The Democrats have the wrong dude for that. Watch this minute 16 seconds of just ugh.
We've already begun to see the chaos that the Russell vote philosophy, the Project 2025 philosophy engenders. A freeze funding of all programs. They didn't look at which programs were good and which programs were bad. No, they froze them all. Chaos erupted. Daycare centers were not funded. Medicaid hospitals was not funded. Veterans programs were not funded. Mental health, so much that they had to back off, at least for a period of time.
He's about as exciting as a slow, wet fart. I'll tell you right now, when we say that Congress is a retirement home, we're not joking. He's supposed to be trying to get people animated and amped and start at look. I guess, and I'm excited by it for myself, but the trade-off is there's so many people in our government that just need to go away. He is a hot mess. I don't know if you've seen so much. Chucky is just, oof, man. He's one of the reasons, and I'm thankful. Don't get me wrong. I hate giving advice to the Democrats. But he's one of the things that need to go if the Democrats ever want to be taken seriously again. And you may ask yourself, you may not ask yourself, but you may ask yourself, how is all of this with USAID, everything that's starting to be exposed, especially if the Democrats have their hands wrapped in, how is this affecting Democrat voters? I'm going to play this gentleman. He posted this to X. His name is Isaiah Carter. And he states, I hereby renounce the Democratic Party. Sit by, because I think it deserves an entire listen.
This fucking political party, the Democratic Party, have lied to us about everything. They've lied about being the party of the middle class. They've lied about being the party of peace. They've lied about being the party that wants to help poor people. Okay? What the last several weeks have proven to us all is that this is a cadre of criminals and losers and spoiled children of affluent parents who were more concerned about looking good than actually doing good. These are people who were more concerned about looking like they were doing something for the American people than actually doing things for the American people. And that's why I'm so angry. Because this party lied to me while stealing my tax dollars. The Democratic Party lied to us all while they brought in millions of illegal immigrants for their own political purposes for the last 4 years. 20 to 30 million illegal aliens brought in. And now we come to USAID being probably the largest money laundering operation in American history. Congratulations, Dems. You've outdone even Bernie Madoff. I'm disgusted beyond words. Disgusted with the waste of money. Disgusted with the waste, with the fraud. With the way that you people use color legitimacy and the way you use black people as fucking mules to get us to push whatever fucking agenda you wanted to. The amount of division you used black people to sow upon the American people, you used us for that. And I will never, ever forgive this political party. The shit that I've gone through personally. Y'all were supposed to be the party of free speech, the party of women's rights. You have immolated all of those things. And then, as if enough weren't enough, you then decide that you're going to die on the hill of USAID, a government audit. You're trying to prevent a government audit because some of you really are trying to stay out of prison. We see the game now. Y'all been out here telling us that the game was rigged against certain people. Well, now we found out who the people that were rigging the game were. Congratulations. Y'all are never going to win another political race ever again.
I'll tell you, I could not have said it any better myself. And that gentleman is Isaiah L. Carter on X. I followed him. I suggest you followed him too. He deserves a follow for just that video alone. But man, you want to talk about even the Democrats starting to figure it out, and how you have to act in order to elicit response like that is amazing. He nailed it. 110% nailed it. Hands off, hands down, hats off. Congratulations, Mr. Carter. You said what so many people were thinking, and I applaud you for it. And folks, believe it or not, that is it for me. It's been 1 hour. It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. I'll be back Monday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm sorry. Yeah, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. You have Mission Ready Men. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. You have Blovy and Zaplin's, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. You have the River of Common Sense. And of course, our good friends at KLRN are on 24/7. Make sure you check them out. Rick's been in the chat room all night yucking it up. Love to have you, Rick. Love to have our friends over at KLRN. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you have a great weekend. Tip of bourbon for me, and we'll talk to you soon.